Right, so what we want to do next is when we click on a Pokemon, we want to navigate to its individual Pokemon page. So if we go in our final build and we click on Magnemite, you can see here this page is presented where it has further information on the Pokemon itself, and then we can also navigate back. But if you pay attention to the URL, it's /Pokemon / the Pokemon name. So in this case, it's Magnemite. If I went back to here and clicked Ivysaur, you can see it's /Ivysaur. So let's go ahead and implement this. And similar to other React frameworks, we have the link tag. So this link tag is from Gatsby. So we can essentially link to, and then we want to link to /Pokemon / the Pokemon.name. So let's go ahead and do that. And then also the key would move up to the higher level here. So we can remove it from here. And then what we just need to do is close this off. So now if I save, we are now importing the link from Gatsby here. And if we just test to see if this works, let's go ahead and click on Venusaur. And now what you can see here is these are the list of all of the pages that we have built on the application. So we need to create this wildcard page for Venusaur and the other Pokemon. So if we navigate to a random URL here, as you can see, what Gatsby does is it pre-builds all of the pages for you. So because it is a static site generator, so you can see here now that 258 pages are created, meaning that we have fetched 251 Pokemon, and then the rest, the other 7 are basically the rest of the applications or the other pages, whereas here we only have 7. So what we need to do is create that page as well. So let's go ahead and create that page. So in the pages folder, what I'm going to do is, because we are navigating to /Pokemon / the ID, I'm going to create a new folder called Pokemon, because we are navigating to /Pokemon. And this won't have an index page, so we won't create that. But what we will do is create the wildcard ID page. So to do that is similar to how we did the article. So if you look at here, we have the curly brackets and then something in here, .tsx. So we just need to do the same here. So let's create a new file, curly brackets, and in our case, it's going to be Pokemon.name, and then close the curly brackets .tsx. So now what we need to do is do rafce. So this now will be the individual Pokemon page, or you can name it whatever you want, but I'm just going to name it individual Pokemon page. And then here, I'm just going to do react.fc. And I'm also going to render a p tag saying Pokemon page. So now if I save, what should happen now is Gatsby should build all of the pages for us. So essentially, we shouldn't have 7 pages anymore. We should have 251 plus 7, so 258. So if we go into here and refresh the page, now what you should see is Venusaur should work because it's rendering and we have the Pokemon page rendering here. If I was to type in some wildcard after, now if we compare it, we still have 7 pages because these pages haven't been built. So we need to run the npm start script and then all of the pages will be built at build time. So let's go back and you should see here 258. So in our console, in our terminal, what we need to do is run npm start again. So this will run Gatsby clean and Gatsby develop. It will then build all of the pages that we now have. So it will be 258 because essentially each of the Pokemon will have their own individual Pokemon page. Right, so now that Gatsby's built all of the pages, let's just double check that is working correctly. So if we refresh the page onto the home page, and I'm just going to click through to a random one, so like Ekans, and you can see now the Pokemon page is being rendered, so that's working correctly. And let's just see how many pages we have built on the application. So now you can see we have 258 and all the pages have built at build time, and you can see 158 more there. But essentially what Gatsby does is it's a static site generator and it runs and pre-builds all of the pages at build time, which is in turn good for SEO because then screen readers can read what is intercepting here and what is being returned to the browser. So that is the pages all they're working correctly, but now the issue is that we are rendering the Pokemon page. So now what we need to do is essentially click through to Pokemon, render this Pokemon card. So because we built the reusable Pokemon card component, all we need to do is query the relevant Pokemon, render it out onto here, and then also render these stats for the Pokemon over here, along with the back button. So what we also need to do, because this is a new page, we are not fetching the data for all of the Pokemon this time because there isn't a query available for this. So if we go in console, we haven't got any Pokemon data. We have all Pokemon data, but that is what we need. This is on our final build. So if we go on here, inspect the page, and essentially what we need to do is fetch the Pokemon data. So going back into Gatsby and graphical itself, in here, instead of all Pokemon now, we need to just go on to Pokemon and then fetch all of the data in here. So specifically, we need access to the stats, so attack, defense, HP, special attack, and so on. So this is just further information of the Pokemon data that we need. And now if we, for example, save this, you can see here now, these are the stats for the Pokemon that we require. So in this case, it's Bulbasaur because of the ID. But what we want to do is grab the ID or the name in our case. So grab Firo, and we want to filter that out in our graphical query here. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we can do is we can copy this query here. So copy that, and in our individual Pokemon page, we want to create a query. So export const of page query is equal to GraphQL, and then essentially we want to paste in the Pokemon query and close it off. We need to import GraphQL from Gatsby like so. And this time what we need to do is we need to have arguments in here where we fetch the ID. So essentially the name is coming from this here. So this curly brace here. So this is where we define what we want to select. So the name, which is equal to a string like so. And then the Pokemon is going to be relevant to the ID that we pass in. So in our case, it's going to be the name is equal to the name that we receive here. But what I want to do is I want to filter first of all. So filter, and essentially we want to get access to the name equal to the name like that. So now we should be able to console log the data being received from the props, and hopefully we should receive Pokemon that we are fetching in from the URL param. So let's go ahead and test this out. And the data is going to be the individual Pokemon data like this. So let's save that, go into our browser, and now what we should be doing is fetching Firo data. So if we refresh, and we're getting an error, so let's just go ahead and fix that. And what I need to do is just rename this to all Pokemon this time. So what we will do is we'll fetch from all the Pokemon data, but we will filter out. So let's save that, and let's just double check that works. So now we've refreshed the page. You can see here individual Pokemon data is coming through, and this should be for Firo. So let's just double check that is the correct one. So all Pokemon nodes, we want the first index, and the name is Firo here. We also have a type of normal and flying, and we also have the stats as well. So what we will do next is render this out for each Pokemon onto the page.